I think as you get older, you start to realize how much more these relationships really mean.
For me, I would say to just, if there's really something you want to do, just go for it. I mean, you never know when your number's up and things can change on a dime. So if you are passionate about something and you want to do it, go for it. Be fearless and just don't underestimate yourself.
Welcome to the Well with Cannabis podcast, a show dedicated to telling the life-changing stories of those who live well with cannabis, all while teaching you how to do the same. Meet your host, Emily Kyle, a registered dietitian nutritionist turned certified holistic cannabis practitioner. Emily changed her life for the better with the help of the cannabis plant, and now she is committed to helping others do the same. Tune in each week to hear heartwarming stories and gain the knowledge you need to feel connected, inspired, and supported on your own cannabis journey. Whether you're a new cannabis consumer or a lifetime lover, you'll benefit from these uplifting tales of real-life journeys that will show you how you too can live your best life well with cannabis.
Before we jump into today's episode, I wanted to share a note on potentially sensitive content. The episodes on the Well with Cannabis podcast are created for adult audiences only. We will at times cover sensitive topics including, but not limited to, suicide, abuse, mental illness, sex, drugs, alcohol, psychedelics, and the obvious use of plant medicine. Explicit language may be used occasionally. Please refrain from watching or listening to the show if you're likely to be offended or adversely impacted by any of these topics. The information on this show is for informational and educational purposes only. It does not constitute medical advice. If any of the content on this podcast has brought up anything for you, please reach out or speak to a professional or someone you trust. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Well with Cannabis podcast. And I am super excited. This is our first double interview. I have two guests here with me today. We have Tom and Amy from Good Buddy Edibles, and I'm super excited to talk to them about cannabis and how it fits into their current lifestyle and how they're introducing it into business. So welcome, Tom and Amy. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Emily, for having us.
So you have first, I should say, you wrote me the nicest message. You wrote me the sweetest email, and you kind of followed my journey when I lost my Instagram account and wanted to start this podcast. And so I wanted to say thank you so much for being so kind and so supportive. I really appreciated that.
Oh, you're so welcome. There was so much that went on there that I witnessed on that platform, and I just wanted you to know how we felt about it.
I really appreciate that. I actually haven't talked about that very publicly for a lot of people. So I'm just going to give a little background if you guys don't mind. So I had an Instagram account. I grew to 70,000 followers. And what happened is I had a video that went viral. And the video was a video of me and my 7-year-old son harvesting a cannabis plant. And it got 3.5 million views. And we were super excited about it. But the country, the world is just not ready for cannabis yet because so many people reported my account and it ended up getting shut down. But the other side, which Tom saw that not a lot of people saw, is that people were very mean in their comments and their DMs and things that they said regarding it. And now that I look back on it, I am so glad that Instagram account was taken away from me. It was a mentally abusive place. And I'm so glad the decision was made to leave that. And here I am now having way more intelligent, better conversations. I just believe everything happens for a reason. But thank you for supporting me through that because it was kind of a dark time.
Oh, I can imagine it was, especially since you had over 70,000 followers, I think, at the time.
Yeah, there were a lot. It was, I built it, and I don't know, a lot of it, and I look back and it was all vanity too. Like I got wrapped up in the numbers, I think.
Sure. Yeah. But the way that you were attacked was very unfair. And I felt like it came from a place of ignorance, and that anyone that really knew anything about cannabis would know that if you touched a plant, if you just merely touched it, that nothing would happen to you, whether you were an adult, a child, an animal, like nothing can happen to you from just like brushing up against a cannabis plant.
Absolutely. And that's why I guess I'm glad that I'm just here now and we can have this conversation, and hopefully we'll reach more people this way and really just share the truth about cannabis. And that's what I want to do with you both today, and talk about how cannabis benefits you in your everyday life. So if you want to give me a little background on you both and kind of what brought you to cannabis.
Well, let me start by saying that today is our 25th wedding anniversary.
Oh my gosh, congratulations. Yeah. Happy anniversary.
Yeah, and it's really crazy, but it actually equates to now we've been together for half of our lives.
Oh my gosh.
In numbers, yeah. So
that is so special, and thank you for sharing your day here with me today.
Absolutely. So when we first met back in the 90s, we lived out on the West Coast, San Francisco. And living on the West Coast, cannabis was totally different. But we moved back east about a decade ago when everything was still, very much illegal in New York State. And, we still smoked cannabis, but we just had to buy it from like a neighbor's of a friend of the neighbor or something like that. And through the course of our time here, one of the people in our lives was our now deceased friend, Steve Schulman, and he was an older fellow, and he had a terminal illness, and I would supply cannabis for Steve also. And I mean, he would try and contribute financially or whatever, but he didn't have a lot of money, and so his doctor told him that he could. He did qualify for a medical card, but Steve did not follow through with it because the closest dispensary to where we live is 60 miles away, almost 60 miles away. And he did not have a vehicle, and he really couldn't afford it. So he just continued to receive it from, us. And so around the time when everything was becoming legalized, I started to grow it, and unfortunately, he did not live long enough to try the first harvest.
Oh, I'm so sorry for his loss.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah. But he was like 100% behind it, and he couldn't wait to try it and everything else. But we really wanted like a regular quality supply, not just to share with him, but for our own purposes, just to know that what we were consuming wasn't, tainted, or that it was of the highest quality or purity that we could get, and that was the initiative behind us growing those first few plants. So, we both do consume cannabis, and, I was the one that actually started growing it. And, it just ended up with us having a bunch of it that we thought, like, let's do something with this. So before we did anything that we showed anybody else, we made a couple batches of brownies that Steve tried in his lifetime. But then nothing really happened for a while, and we started just playing around making some cookies and some brownies for our friends here in upstate New York. And, really through word of mouth or whatever, it really caught on. We wanted to make something that was really delicious, and it didn't, make the person like fall on the floor where they had to like take a nap for the rest of the day just because they ate a cannabis cookie. So we were looking along the lines of something you might consider like low dosage. Perfect. We've really streamlined our products, and we have a really nice ingredients label, so anybody can know, like, if they have food allergies or anything like that, they can know exactly what's in one of our cookies.
Oh my gosh, that is amazing. So tell me a little bit about your clientele. Are they a certain type of person, certain demographic? Like, who is coming to you in need of your services?
Well, it's actually a little bit older of a demographic than maybe your listeners might think. But
I think you'd be surprised. Actually, most of my listeners are of the older demographic as well, and that's kind of what I thought you might say.
Yeah, it's generally people in the what I call the 30 to 50 something range, because when we hit 50, we don't really want to say what number comes after that. But in the 30 to 50 something range, and it's people from our community, everyone from teachers and health inspectors to people that work down the street at the store that are enjoying our products.
Oh my gosh, that is amazing. Now, when you're working with people, do they tell you what they're coming to you with? Ailments, pain, anxiety? What exactly are they looking to relieve?
Most of our elderly or older type of people are interested in having something that they can trust, that they can gauge pretty well. So if they want to eat half of a brownie and, feel a little bit of relaxation and pain relief, that's fine. And if they're having a rough day, that they could eat the whole brownie and get more of an effect. So some is pain and some is anxiety. Or the older people like that they can break it in half and eat half now and save half for later, depending on how they feel,
Absolutely. And it's so nice to have that freedom and flexibility to choose how much depending on what you need. And so I have to assume a lot of education must go into working with new and elderly clients. How does that look for you both?
We definitely always query them about what their experience has been with edibles. So if they have not had any edibles at all, we always recommend that they start with a very small piece. Like what you would consider like a quarter of a brownie or a fifth of a brownie, and just let that settle in and see, and not try to, eat a whole one, not knowing. So we try to just encourage them to start with a really small amount.
Perfect.
The first or second time, and then if they're okay with that, then build up by another small amount.
That is so perfect. So let's talk about how you guys work together to make all these magical things for people.
Well, I'll start because I make the butter, and it's pretty funny. But I actually watched your videos, and I used some of your edible calculator tools when I figured out the actual THC percentage of the cannabis I was using. That made it really easier for me to use your calculator correctly for the dosages. So I rely on that to make the butter, and Amy makes the baked goods. So go ahead.
Yep, I'm the baker. And
hi, Amy. I think this is the first time our listeners have heard from you. So hello.
Hi. Baker Tom does the butter for me. And he likes to try to tell me, he likes to get very mathematical. This is my area. Give me the butter and move out of the kitchen.
How fun. You get like the full creative freedom after that.
Yes. So, and one of the other things that we discovered too with some of our older clientele is that we were kind of doing the cookies, the brownies, we would do a Rice Krispie treat once in a while. And we got some great feedback from somebody who was just saying that some of the things were a little harder for them to chew. So we ended up coming up with something we call a softie, which is like basically a soft cookie. Mm-hmm. And that seems to have been a really big hit.
That is such a thoughtful product, too, because I guess I never really considered, but how many elderly people have difficulties chewing or swallowing? That's so nice that you are tailoring your products based on people's needs.
Yeah, it's really important to us to hear from the people that consume our goods, because that's really how, I guess, especially for me, how I can kind of learn and grow and find out what it is they like and they don't like, and keep going from there and trying different things.
Oh my gosh, that is amazing. Now, Tom touched on this a little bit. You use cannabis as well. What do you both personally use cannabis for in your lifestyles?
I use it really just to help combat anxiety. I've been through a lot with anxiety. Basically, in my life, I've just the type of thought patterns where I'm worrying about things incessantly and stuff like that. that they can kind of snowball and stuff. And so for me, it's nice at the end of the day to kind of make a separation and be like, I've done everything that I was supposed to do in my regular job today. I don't really have to worry like that it was 100% perfect. It might have been 75 or 90, but they're going to let me know tomorrow. Everybody's going to survive. You know what I mean? And then it's a time. It's really time then for me to just take some of the pressure off myself and take a couple puffs. You know, I do still smoke it with rolling papers and stuff like that. So, yeah. So it's to me, it's good to just stop the thought of whatever I was doing wasn't good enough, because whatever I did that day for my job, and my job is I make maps. So, yeah, I make maps. So when I say, you know, I might have gotten 75 or 90% done and everyone's going to survive, I mean, really, everyone does survive till the next day if the map's not done. So I just want to put it in perspective. If anybody was wondering, like, what does this guy do that it's okay if he only does 75%? I'm making a map. No, you know, I'm not trying to do brain surgery or anything.
I mean, making a map sounds pretty hard to me. That sounds awesome, actually.
Thank you.
And I use cannabis mainly just to kind of unwind at the end of the day. For me, I feel like it's kind of a creative outlet. It kind of gets my creative mind working and coming up with new and different ideas, and just kind of a way to relax at the end of a hectic day.
Oh, isn't it the best to be able to relax? And all adults should be able to feel that way at the end of the day, you know, without needing to rely on alcohol, to have something different that at the end of the day, you can just relax and be yourself and be comfortable in your own skin is such a gift.
Exactly.
Yeah, it is. It's like just go ahead and allow yourself to have that little break. And we just happen to be very fortunate that we live in a state where now it's been legalized, you know, and I'm sure there'll be people that listen to this podcast that still live in places where it's still illegal, and just hang on and keep, you know, talking to your legislators and your congressmen and stuff in your state too. Someday can be legalized like our state.
It's going to happen. It has to happen. I mean, the people want it. And I have interviewed several people from Texas and all, you know, Bible Belt down south. And it's unbelievable the rules that they have. And I'm thankful that New York has been so progressive, and it's not perfect. I'm not going to say that, but we have come such a long way. And I am really thankful for the opportunities that we have with cannabis up here.
Oh, we definitely are too. We're very, very thankful that, you know, to a certain degree now it's like out of the shadows, which it really needs to be. It's not something that should have had to be in the shadows all those years like it was.
No. And that's why I really want to do this podcast, you know, thinking about your demographic and the folks that consume edibles. They don't have, you know, their friends to talk to, or they're not willing to talk to other people about it. And so the more we all come together and discuss it out loud publicly and talk about the benefits, the more hopefully other people will jump on board and realize like the beautiful gift that it is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And just so you know, I have the perspective of, you know, we lived in California and Oregon both. And we got to live there actually before it was legalized in both places, and then go back later and see, you know, and it really didn't change anything. It was just interesting at the time. People just went to a store for their cannabis. And, you know, I think eventually it'll become that normalized in New York State where we live, but it'll just take a little while, I think, a few years probably.
It does seem that time, you know, that thing, time heals all wounds. It kind of feels that way for cannabis as well. I'm sure, obviously, you've seen that California and Oregon.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's so normalized out there now. Oh, it's completely different. People are just in line at a store, like, you know.
So I want to ask you guys, because you are the first couple that I have interviewed. How does cannabis work with your relationship? I always tell people that cannabis is a a benefit to a lot of relationships, especially a 25-year marriage. How do you feel cannabis is helpful to your relationship in any way?
First of all, I will just give a little example. That for years, and I don't even know how long she's had this tiny little glass jar. Amy's had this tiny little glass jar, not really much bigger than my thumb, with a little wooden cork in it. And every time for this entire time, she's been bringing me the little glass jar when it runs out and says, "Will you put something in my jar?" And I go and I find the, nicest looking thing that I can find. And I put it in that jar. And it's always so cute to me because she's had that jar all the way since Portland when we lived on the West Coast. So I don't even know how many years that is. So that's one way.
And I think another way, especially for Tom, is that he loves his plants. Like, it really gives him something to do. I mean, there are some times where I'm like, you have a family too. You need to come up and talk to your family. But he loves his plants. He is always, he's down there. He plays them music. He's talking to them. He wants to buy the best things to put on them. I mean, it could be considered maybe borderline obsession, but he loves it so much, and him so happy doing it that I am so happy to see him happy.
Oh my gosh, that is so sweet. I'm asking for my own selfish reasons now. Can you give us a piece of marriage advice after 25 years of marriage?
Don't sweat the small stuff, because there's going to be a lot of it.
Yep, I think that would be a good one. And maybe when things get really heated, just walk away, take a breath, and come back. Saves a lot of agony.
I feel like cannabis helps with both of those. I feel like cannabis can all give us like that step back we need.
Yes, definitely.
Oh my gosh. Well, congratulations to you two. 25 years is amazing. I have another business related question for you before we get into our final questions of the interview. So for business, I have so many listeners, readers who dream of starting a cannabis business, an edible business, doing exactly what you're doing right now. And they just want to help people the way you're doing it. But you guys are actually doing it. So do you have any advice for someone who might be listening, who might be like, I kind of want to make edibles for other people? What is your advice to them getting started?
My advice to them getting started would be to try and be as transparent as possible about all of their ingredients that they're using and where those things come from. So, yeah.
And I think for me, it's just to have fun. If it's really, for me, I love to bake, and now kind of being able to bake with cannabis, and where it incorporates Tom's love of plants and my love of baking, and just coming up with new fun ways to make things or be able to share things with other people, and just to see them get excited. I think you just kind of have to just go for it and trust that if you are doing what you love and making a really good product, I think people are naturally just going to be drawn to it.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, that's the best advice, is just get out there and do it and see what happens. And with the best of intentions, you can build something beautiful, just like you guys are doing.
Oh, thank you so much.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I find it's like such humanitarian work to offer medicine to elderly folks who can't get it somewhere else, or to provide that relief. Like, I find it to be some of the most rewarding and special gifts that we can give other people, is to share our love and knowledge of the plant. And you guys are doing that. And it sounds like you're making so many people feel better. And it just warms my heart. I'm so happy to see what you guys are doing.
Oh, thanks again, Emily.
Oh my gosh. Now I want to be respectful of your time, but I want to ask you both. I want answers from both of you on our 4 questions. Are you ready for them?
Yes, we went out the other night and just sat at a little place and talked about what our answers would be.
That
So
is
hopefully
so
we're ready.
sweet. No wonder you're married for 25 years. Like, that's adorable. All right. First question's up. What are you most proud of?
I was gonna go first on that one, but I was gonna say that I'm really most proud of the people that our daughters are becoming and these wonderful humans that they're turning out to be. So yes.
And I think I'm going to say that I'm really most proud of Tom. And I think I'm changing my answer on him right now. So
Oh my gosh.
he has just overcome a lot of obstacles in his life and he keeps on going. And I'm just really proud of the enthusiasm he has for what he's doing right now and just the way he just loves what he does. I mean, it shows, it makes him a better person and it makes us all, I think, a better family.
Wow.
That is so sweet, Amy. Oh my gosh. All right. Next question for you both. What would life look like without cannabis?
It's not going to be like the most cheery answer to that question to honestly answer it. And to me, I know, how alcohol at a certain point in my life felt like it was taking over my life. And a few years ago, I had to really just close the door on that and say, I don't want this in my life anymore. And I think cannabis helped me so much to do that if it wasn't for cannabis, I would probably be drinking a beer right now. And I don't want to be doing that. So there's your answer to that one.
That's awesome.
And I think for me, cannabis has just helped in terms of I'm really not a fan of prescription medication. And I feel like there are a lot of times when I'm going through something, I'm feeling something, and sometimes it's just, I'm a big believer in you have to feel it, but there are sometimes too where maybe that feeling is just a little bit too big. And I feel like cannabis has kind of given me the tools to be able to get through hard times without having to go get that pill or whatever it is the doctor's going to just, scribble on a notepad and throw at you. So I'm very, very grateful for that. And the fact that there's not really a lot of, if any, bad side effects from cannabis.
Yes, absolutely. Oh my gosh. Next question. If you could go back 10, 20, or even 30 years ago and give yourself a piece of advice, what would it be?
I would say if I was going to give myself a piece of advice, it would be just to keep everybody really, really as close to me as I can, as I can. Every single person, whether I realize that or not, because I think as you get older, you start to realize how much more these relationships really mean.
For me, I would say to just, if there's really something you want to do, just go for it. I mean, you never know when your number's up and things can change on a dime. So if you are passionate about something and you want to do it, go for it, be fearless, and just don't underestimate yourself. Because I think a lot of the times, even going through this process, there have been a lot of the times where I think Tom and I both really look at each other and we're like, wow, we really just did that.
My gosh, that is such perfect advice. Amy, I feel like you're just my kind of woman. Like, I love listening to everything that you're saying. Last question for you both. If you could be remembered for just one thing in the cannabis space, what would it be?
Oh, if I could be remembered for just one thing in that space.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it would be that everyone always knew that whatever I had grown was absolutely purely grown organic. Yep.
And I think for me, it would just be, I guess, that I would want to be known for my just bringing a smile to people's faces through my desserts. I love to make, silly little things, and we've done different things, different themes for, we just did some for Valentine's Day, and I thought it would be such a great way to be able to share a cookie with somebody. We did a little 2-pack called You and Me. So you could buy the cookies and one for you, share it with another person.
So cute.
And just coming up with all these really cute little fun ways to be able to share it, enjoy it, and just make it not be such a scary, taboo thing.
Oh my gosh. I mean, you both are doing that beautifully. And I can't thank you enough for coming here and sharing everything that you did here with us today, and especially on your anniversary. Now, if people are interested in learning more about you both, where can they find you and more information about Good Buddy Edibles?
Well, right now we are on Instagram. That's really kind of the only platform we have. We're slowly evolving, but you can check us out there. It has a little bit of we're kind of using Instagram as our menu, and I can showcase all of my little desserts and things that I do. So
that's really just good_buddy_edibles.
Yeah,
on Instagram. So that's our menu. Yeah, we use it really just to show everything that we have made,
So exciting. I will put the link here. So if anybody wants to check you out, reach out and just share your wisdom and see all the amazing creations that you both make together. Thank you so much for joining us today. I enjoyed this conversation very much, and I appreciate you coming and doing this with me on your anniversary.
Congratulations. You've finished another episode of the Well with Cannabis podcast and are one step closer to discovering how you too can live well with cannabis. Thank you for listening in today. We hope this episode has been a helpful and informative one. Please visit EmilyKyleNutrition.com for more information on today's show notes, guest information, recipes, and other resources. If you want more support and encouragement on your cannabis journey, please consider joining the private Well with Cannabis community. In this group, you can connect with like-minded individuals focused on improving their health and wellness through cannabis. Join the group today to continue your journey of wellness together at EmilyKyleNutrition.com.